Everyone is vulnerable to being pinned when life plays hardball, whether it is a physical or mental health condition. No one can stand alone. For those who are not pinned, appreciate that it could be you or loved one someday. So when you see a chance to help someone, please do. They are not weak, they are pinned. Even a slight hand up and a listening ear can begin seriously lightening the load, change, or save a life. Help end stigma. Move from being pinned to purpose. Time for a hand up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Geoff Moore. I'm the founder of the Pin to Purpose Initiative and our podcast. It's a huge pleasure for me today to welcome my friend and an amazing person, Reina Hallab. And we're going to have a great conversation to talk about her journey and different things she's learned along the way and how she's so engaged in healing through many, many activities. So the podcast was set up to give people a hand up on their healing journeys and also to help to eliminate stigma, because we're recognizing everybody's common humanity and that we can all get pinned depending on what life throws at us. So I'm also particularly pleased to speak to Reina today because this is Mental Health Week in Canada. And so it is a time of reflection, of outreach, of community. And so it's fantastic to have you on, Reina. You have a very rich background in terms of so many of the things that you've done, and we're going to get into that in a moment. I mean, just some examples in terms of your self-mastery expert, heartfelt leadership mentor, transformational speaker, certified Kriya Yoga instructor, Reiki master. You're the author of When the Divine Speaks, the Heart Listens, and love to get into that more a bit later in this podcast. And you're also the founder of several initiatives, including one called Global Expatria. And I've attended a wonderful event there, which fosters community and connection among global professionals. So there's so much to say, but I'd like to pass it over to you, Reina, just to introduce yourself a bit more, and then we'll talk about different things on your journey, how you've been pinned at different times, and so this will be a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my goodness, Geoff, I'm so blessed and happy to be here with you today and take on this journey. I'm proud to see Pin to Purpose out there and helping stopping the stigma and allowing people to speak up, to express who they are and to express their uncomfort so that they can be held, felt, received, and seen and loved. And so being here with you to have a beautiful conversation, honestly, I want to thank you for inviting me to be on this podcast with you today.
Fantastic. No, thank you so much, Reina. Now, Reina, you were born in Lebanon, I believe, correct?
I was, yes.
And then you've moved to Canada later on in your journey, but maybe you can just share a few things about your upbringing, and then some of the challenges also that led you to where you are today.
Oh, for sure. Of course. Thank you, Geoff. So I was born in Lebanon, in the north of Lebanon, in a Tripoli. Had a wonderful childhood, grew up, enjoyed living on the beach and in the mountains, swimming and skiing, coming from a beautiful culture and different backgrounds. And, many centuries passed by this city, and, you can see it in that civilizations over there. I left Lebanon after my university, because I went to university in Beirut, the capital, and I left to come to Montreal as an international student, actually. And the reason I left, being in Lebanon, which is a beautiful country, yet there's a lot of struggles. And so leaving gave me the space of getting to know who I truly am, and not in the eyes of the people there or the way you want to be formed because of the culture or the the traditions. It's more like, who is this person that wants to just see herself through her own eyes. And getting the opportunity to come here, going to McGill and living here and working at the same time while studying, which was like a dream for me. Like, I want to be independent. I want to be able to be choosing what I want and how I want to live. I have a great parents. They've provided so many things for us. Yet I have chosen to step on my own feet and get out from that, nice, comfortable life, because I wanted to experience the true life. A lot of people try so hard, and they are comfortable where they are, yet the reality, they might not be too comfortable, so they want to just challenge themselves and learn along the way. So I have learned along the way by living here, by going back to Lebanon for a year for an internship, thinking that it was a job. I have met so many amazing people during that journey. Specifically, I got depressed afterwards for quite a bit because I felt useless. I felt like, now I'm back home at my parents. What is this life? This is not what I'm looking for. I want to feel productive. I want to feel, in service. And beautifully, how, me, I speak a lot of magic and things appear and things happen. So a friend of my father was visiting us, and he knows people who live in Dubai, and they helped me by providing a visa to visit, because back in the days it wasn't easy to just go. You needed to have a sponsor to allow you to go in. And I went in 2 weeks to find a job, came back with offers, and then chose one and lived there for a couple of years. And I'm so blessed to be been living here for almost now, if I want to calculate the on and off, it's almost 18 years.
Right.
And it's amazing. It's amazing meeting new people, learning from different cultures, and growing the network, and learning more about myself and deeper journeys. So, in a way, this is how I've passed from one place to the other, living and working with big corporates, to choosing to leave everything behind to start my own over a decade ago. That's a bold choice.
Mm, yeah,
And I love it.
yeah, that's fantastic. Well, as you know, with the pin to purpose, the concept of being pinned is just talking about everybody can get pinned when life throws overwhelming circumstances to them. We all accept that for physical issues, that people should get whatever help they need, but still with mental health, sometimes there can be stigma, and there can be things that are stopping people from reaching out to get the help they deserve, or just to talk and start those healing journeys. I wanted to ask you, because in your own life, you've had some challenges that have also been difficult, health challenges, etc., that I believe have led to different reflections, and have also helped to shape your attempt to help others and to heal, and help yourself as we do, as we're overcoming things and helping others as well. So I'm wondering if you'd like to share any comments.
Well, yes. In life, things start from an emotion. Sometimes unconsciously, we think about something from a mental consideration of, do people love me? Am I loved? Am I well surrounded? As a young child, I had those questions. And so unknowingly, we create our own diseases and our own physical disabilities, let's say. And at the age of 16, I had a brain aneurysm. So I had to undergo a few surgeries, and fly even from Lebanon to France to continue the second surgery and all of that. That moment gave me this empowering, not only by seeing that people were visiting, and I had a lot of love and compassion and kindness around me. It was more like I surrendered, because there was so many unknown things that might happen. And by surrendering, I was ready for either leaving this life or losing something in physically in me. I was like, just take care of me. I trust and I believe. And that's what happened. I felt stronger. I felt more empowered. Yet, I didn't need to go through that experience to learn this. I could have asked for help. I could have chosen to speak to somebody and go deeper with that, because we all lived different traumas in our life. Being born in Lebanon, there was the war during those years. I remember we used to go into the bunks underground to just be protected, and the stories you listen and you hear from the family, they're kind of really horrible. Yet I believe also the way the family embraced us, we didn't really feel that, but somewhere in our background it might have been. Plus some abandonment issues, plus. So we do go through different things. And the thing is, which is funny and not funny at the same time, is all the stories happen in our brain, in our mind. The mind start telling us stories. Oh, nobody loves you. Oh, nobody cares about you. You're not important. You're not enough. And this is all the brain speaking. But what if I kind of pause and observe my brain and the speech that it starts telling me every single moment and every single second? Then I realize all these words are not important. I'm just creating a version of me that is not important. Yet we were all born pure and beautiful and filled with light. Why would we as humans start bringing and putting shadows, and we start shadowing ourselves rather than embracing that light and getting empowered by this infinite love and infinite space that is always present within us? So that's the unfortunate part, yet it was fortunate because it led me to remember that we come from that beautiful source of love. And then living the life afterwards and going through different uh, pinned moments, which is, leaving, well, during right after the surgery, actually, I had to go back to school, and I had to, either choose to do the same class with my classmates, or uh, do the one that I've missed, because I've missed quite some time from school. Then I have chosen to do the 2 years in one. And I said, you know what? I'm ready. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So I was lucky enough to study hard, really focus all my energy with everything that happened throughout the year, because I've been through so many things throughout the year. That was my purpose. I put my attention on the things that can help me, and I was able to succeed 2 years in one. And I even got better grades than if had I done it before. So the idea is, believe, trust that you don't have to engage in the mind conversation. Trust your heart. Follow your own calling, because you don't know how and when you're placed in specific times and spaces for a reason. We don't always know the reason, yet it shows itself to us when we're ready to see it. And afterwards, graduating, and I was accepted actually to go to France to study to become a doctor, because that was my I was dreaming to become a doctor, to heal people, to serve people. Yet I was too young to leave the house after the surgery. Specifically, my parents wanted to keep me closer, to keep an eye on me, and I thought I would take a 1-year sabbatical. Yet that didn't happen because things were rushing. So I applied to the one school just because it's good to go. I mean, to the university. So it's good to go to university. I didn't take the chance to examine and find the one that I would like to go to. And I spent 3 years um, graduating as a marketing business a bachelor. And then afterwards, between working and studying, coming to Montreal and doing the same, and learning more about myself. And even with all these processes, so many things happened, yet I had to stand on my ground and say, I deserve to be here, and I deserve to grow and learn and empower myself. So it's like a lot of mental motivation, yet I cannot deny that I had some mental sabotage as well. But then it was my choice to choose which one I want to give more power to. So I chose to give more power to my strength rather to my weakness.
It's an incredible story. And I think, the huge setback that you had provided new beginnings, right? You had to deal with it. You had to get through it. When you let go and you accepted that whatever happens, you'll accept. I'm sure. I imagine that was just such a relief, because then you're just going forward with hope, but also realizing that that's slightly beyond your control. But I wonder if you can comment a bit more, because I think that's part of the theme here. When people are really, really stuck, when they're pinned, their self-talk could be very, 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 negative, and they may not be able to reframe their future, because it may be a sense of huge amount of pain or loss. And so to be able to reframe with optimism that there can be a new path that can be even more beautiful and different. And so, it seems like that's partly what's happened to you, and it seems like a common theme for people who have gone through all sorts of different traumas, all sorts of different forms of being pinned, but that as they work to get out of it, there's always that hope for and possibility of a new beginning.
Yes, there's always a new beginning. Every morning is a new beginning. Every morning we wake up, we choose what kind of a day we would like to have. We set an intention, a clear intention. And then in my mantra that I put in my book, I say, life, show me your magic. And you allow things to unfold. Because learning through that whole process that life happens for you and not to you. And that's this is the second level, because at the beginning we think life is happening to us. Why is this? Why things are not going the right way, and etc., etc. So we start blaming, shaming, becoming a victim of this life. Yet when we look at life and slowly start observing, because we are the experience and we are the experiencer. So when we see how life is happening and how things are unfolding, we start putting more attention and experiencing what's present now. And through that, you learn slowly that life is happening for you. And that's a level where you start seeing, observing the messages, the synchronicities, this wonders, this like, oh, wow, this is happening because I need to stop myself from, let's say, heading there. That's why my plane got canceled. Or that's why I missed the train. Or, because things are happening for me, for my best interest, because I'm being protected, and you are always protected. And just believe that there's a beautiful, invisible hand holding you all the time. And so when life starts happening for you and you start, learning and growing through that experience, then life will happen with you. And when it starts happening with you, you're like, life becomes your best friend, your allies. They're there, and you walk with life, and you start because you're creating your life now. And then the last level will be, or maybe even more, which I'm not sure about. It's like life is happening through you. And so everything, when I say like whatever information we think of, we bring them into form. We materialize them. So by choosing what kind of information we want to put in our mind to connect it to the heart, that's what kind of form and materialization we want to bring forth. So why would I want to start thinking about negative stuff if I know for a fact that I'm forming these into my life? Then I will choose to start thinking more positive. And when I say positive, some people, when they are not in their best ability to change their mindset, what I would say is just pause. Because the moment we have a thought that is negative, anxiousness starts building up, worry starts building up, and fear stops building up. And when we are in that space and time, things start shaking. Nothing is working well. Things are blocking. There's we start building the barriers. So when we observe that feeling that's arising in that moment in time when the mind is going negative, what's important is just to take a pause. Just pause and breathe. Because you you pause and you breathe and you focus really consciously on the breath by taking deep inhalations and deep exhalations. Somehow the mind's chatter starts gets smaller, and that's when you kind of come back to you, and then you observe the spaciousness. There's no longer anxiousness, there's no longer stress, there's no longer worry, and definitely no longer fear, because you kind of took yourself out and you start observing a version of you that is living there, yet you're not that.
Mm.
And when we start growing and evolving in that practice, we kind of detach ourselves from the emotion. And that emotion is no longer capturing us. We freed ourselves from it. And when we free ourselves from an emotion, it no longer controls us.
Mm.
We're more kind of in separate spaces. And we allow that space in between, which is infinite space, to take the lead.
Beautiful. So much to say. I wanted to bring up a little aside and then get more into and ask you about raw healing and ask you to talk a bit about your book. It's interesting that the serendipitous meetings people have at different times, and you may meet a new person, and again, that leads you into new experiences or involving yourself in a new organization, or just running into friends. Because I'm just thinking of, running into you by chance on Mount Royal by Beaver Lake when I was with a very good friend of yours and also a good friend of mine, Bhaskar Goswami. I think it was last summer. But the other part of that, which was quite a coincidence. So that's a huge area. I mean, if our timing was different, we would not have seen each other. But then I remember, and you'll remember this too, I think, when I remind you, but my mom had passed away not too long before. So I actually walked to a flower shop, which was quite far from there. And, and then I ran into you again at the flower shop because you ended up going at the same time as me. And then you gave me a lift to the cemetery because I was just going to walk a very long time. So, it was wonderful to see Bhaskar then and to see you, because he is a healer and involved in so many ways with helping people. I hope to have him on the podcast in the future. But we're all good friends, and to run into you twice, like the second time, I'm like, okay, you're here to help me to go to the graveyard to lay flowers on my mom's grave, which is such a deeply personal, emotional thing. But so these serendipitous encounters, like you say, they're often for a reason. But let me go back, or let me pass it to you again to share, if you'd like to share with the viewers a bit more about some of the specific initiatives that you have led or involved in, and maybe talk about raw healing, and then we can talk about other things, or whatever order you like. But I'd like you to tell people more, because they can also potentially access or reach out to you, later on, about things that are of interest to them, or getting a copy of your book.
Yes, for sure. Wow. So raw healing. I went on my own journey to discover my own truth, to connect with myself. So I took a lot of yoga classes. I went to see therapists, and I even went to meet hypnotherapists. And then people start showing up in my life, and then they were kind of leading me to where I need to be by becoming Reiki master, and by also later on taking the Kriya Yoga certification. And at the same time, in 2011, I started channeling channeling like words and sentences. I'm like, who is talking? Who is this? Like I couldn't even believe my own writing, and especially, even though I speak Arabic, I haven't used that language in like almost 20 years. And then suddenly I'm like, wow, like these are like very strong Arabic, literature. And I'm like, whoops, something is very strange. And so that's what happened. And created my own company actually for my mom, because my mom, she's an amazing healer. Like she is amazing healer. She before she got certified, she had those abilities, and then she got certified, and now she's, I opened raw healing for her, and then we do this together. um Maybe I'm more the face off, because she doesn't like to be online. And what I do is I created a self mastery framework. Self is going to soul empowerment, leading to freedom. So, how to empower our soul, going through the 8 pillars of self discovery, self respect, self awareness, self trust, self confidence, self acceptance, and self realization to self love. So, really working on that self that needs to be empowered. But the self is the big S, that's a higher self. Because when the I, which is a small I, the ego comes in, it actually stops us from becoming that big self. Yet, when we are ready to embody that big self, that's when true magic happens. And when you're speaking about synchronicities, of course, I remember all of this because it was so magical. How can this not be remembered? Yet, I invite people who are listening as well to really observe when and how they are placed and who they are meeting at that moment in time, and what grows out from that. Some people come in our life for 1 minute, 1 second, for one day, for 1 week, or maybe for a journey, for a lifetime. And a lot of times, especially when I was lately visiting Lebanon again, and knowing that people were interested with the work that I've been doing, I wondered, how did people know about me? I am active on the social media, but not that active, like I'm not looking for followers. What I'm doing is trying to plant a seed of love in people's heart, and then when they're ready, they reach out and they say, okay, guide me, show me the way. And even life will show them the way. It doesn't always have to be through me. I would love to be there to support them for sure. And so sometimes I was invited to some events, and I would go there. And I'm like, why? I ask like myself inside, and then the divine, it's like, why am I here? I don't understand. Why did you choose me to come to this space? Let's say. And then few minutes after, literally, somebody approached me. They asked me a question and I answer. And then they looked at me, and I remember so well, because that happened so many times. I remember so well that the person would say, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I was looking to hear. And I'm like, and I received this heart opening feeling. And I'm like, okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is why I know why I'm here. Thank you for choosing me to be in that space to help unlock someone's heart. This is a great feeling. This is more very satisfying and very motivating to just being fully you, whatever you are, because you never know what kind of we are the instrument of that energy. So allow yourself to be that instrument of the voice of love, the voice of kindness, the voice of compassion, and the voice of abundance and generosity. And I have so many stories I can tell. It can last forever.
And when the heart speaks, sorry, I'll make sure I get it right. When the heart speaks, the divine listens. Did I get?
When the divine speaks,
Ah,
the heart listens.
oops. So, would you talk a bit about your inspiration, and when you writing that book? And then I know I have a copy and I have read it. I was inspired by it, and I know that you have as you said, been over in Lebanon with it, I believe in Dubai. So maybe just share a bit more about the book, what people might learn from it, and and if you're thinking in the future of possibly writing another one.
Yes, I will share this with everyone here. Because I started writing quite long ago, and I post some things. I've posted a lot of my work online as well. And then one day I wrote this beautiful post called "When the Divine Speaks, the Heart Listens." And then a few days after, if you believe in energy and you believe that you're guided, I was literally guided to go to my computer. It's as if I had somewhere unconsciously an intention to write a book. Yet that intention has been procrastinating for quite a bit. And then when that moment came up, and I went to my computer and started designing the book, because I couldn't write the book on a Word document. I needed to see how it will look like. And that's how I kind of orchestrated things. It's just like, I cannot say the I, Reina. It's more the self that was leading me through that, me being the instrument and the vehicle. And I started putting things together and started writing the anecdote of some of my stories. And I was kind of literally guided to which proverb I need to put where and how, and all of that. I was like, oh my God. So I started just putting it all together all day long. And then at the end, I felt that, wow, I already have a design. I already have a big part of the book. Well, the book is not too big. It's almost 111 pages. And then, I beautifully, I was led to meet an editor, and she helped me to put it together. And then when it was ready, unknowingly also, when you are guided and then you start observing, I was guided to actually publish it on March the 4th in 2023. Yet I started writing it. I wrote it in July 2022. And so March the 4th, I was like, wow, this is empowering to march forward in your journey in that specific project. And I remember there was a specific timing. I wrote it somewhere in my journal. And then again, that was on Amazon. And during that time, on the 11th of March, I went to Dubai for a day and to be able to transit to India for my Kriya Yoga certification. And believe it or not, when I was there, there's so many beautiful, des pancartes written. And one of them, and I shared it, I'm going to share it today. It was called, very similar, the divine whispers and the heart listens, or something along those words. And I was like, oh my God, like, is this like, and the color of the way it was painted, it was very similar to the colors of my book. And I'm like, whoa, this is way too much. And I had a proof copy with me. And when I was in India, I kind of launched a video to say, you know what, this is my project and it's now online and everything else. And I'm like, I couldn't believe that how synchronicities were. It's kind of like, you are on the right path.
Mhm.
And then those messages come up. I'm like, woo, And when I went to Dubai afterwards, I stayed for a month, and I organized a beach get together with my friends for my birthday, and people I haven't seen in years, like almost 20, not 20, like 10, 15 years. And then everyone enjoyed it so much to the point that they said, Reina, why don't you do another event? And it was kind of a reminder of when I used to host events to bring people and communities together.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like this, there's also another purpose for me there, to bring people together. And so I said, you know what, if people want to meet, to have those kind of events, and I'm in Dubai, why don't I merge those two together and then launch my book? And launching a book in Dubai, it's not like I can order from Amazon all the copies. I have to print them there. Beautiful synchronicities. A friend of mine called her friend and she said, oh, I have a friend who needs to print her book. And then he came, picked me up. We did a lot of tour to find the right papers, to connect with the printer house. And bang, we had all the books ready. I called another friend to prepare all the canapes, because I wanted people to experience the raw food, because the raw food has a big part of my journey into the healing, into the energy, and all of that. And then another friend called me. He's like, yeah, yesterday I was visiting this beautiful wellness studio. Why don't you go there? I'm like, okay. So I just literally drove myself there, went in, spoke to the manager. He loved the book. He felt it. Because whenever I speak to somebody about the book, I ask them to hold the book in their hands and allow the energy that's present to just, allow them to feel it. And when he felt that kind of energy, he's like, okay, fine. You know what? When do you want to do it? And I said, I was maybe June the 3rd or something. I said, let's choose that day. And then we will, I'll bring the canapes and we'll have something nice. And another friend of mine, he's a shakuhachi, not a musician only, but he creates those Japanese flute. He's like, I can also create the introduction for you and then play this music in the background. I'm like, wow. Like, I couldn't even believe how, when you have a clear intention, everything fall into place. And
Yeah.
when that event happened, everybody felt the energy. The words that that I was hearing actually during afterwards is like, oh my God, that event was magic. And I'm like, wow. And believe it or not, the people who attended the event were on the journey with me.
Mm.
People who were in Montreal, who moved to Dubai. When I was on my raw vegan journey, they were the people who were on that journey with me. The people who I was like born with and lived with, they were also there. So they've seen the transformation. Other ones who met me when I was more in the healing space, and then they kind of got really interested and curious about the work that I'm doing and the life that I've been living, and how I fully surrendered and how I let go of my job and ready to serve people and help whomever is in need. Because and I made it also a business, because at the end of the day, we need to pay rent and pay our life. Yet for me, the purpose that I'm doing it is it's coming from my heart, to the point that some people don't even have the material to invest in themselves. I try my best to help. Yet I want others to come in and sponsor those people who cannot. And this way, the circle of energy works. And when people cannot actually invest, I'd say, you know what, share the energy with somebody else. So donate something.
Mm.
The energy needs to keep circulating. And so when you are the creator of your own magic, trust that this is true. You are also the creator of your own miracles. And by believing, by trusting, by fully surrendering, it is possible.
Yeah, that's
And
wonderful.
if you need some help, reach out. You know, that's how we help ourselves, by reaching out, asking for help.
Yeah. I know that we could talk for hours, because there's so much to talk about and say. We'll be wrapping up soon, but you talked about purpose several times, and it's part of the initiative too, to focus on purpose, to gradually find the North Star that you can, with intention, gravitate towards. And obviously we can also change our purpose and find new ideas. As we've said before, you can have many paths over time, but in your own journey and from what you've seen, how critical do you see that as a step in terms of healing, in terms of looking beyond yourself towards things that you really want to engage with, or people you really care about, and focusing on a purpose as part of it, as a building block to to healing?
Well, purpose for so many people, it's a big world. It's a big world that not everybody is willing to open up to their purpose. And what I would say, we can replace the word purpose with your alignment.
Yes.
What are you aligned with? What does make your eyes sparkle? That's the question I ask. It's like my clients, like, what does make your eyes sparkle? When your eyes sparkle, it's like calling. And the idea is very important. I work a lot with the power of the mind, the power of the body, the power of the heart, the power of the word, the power of the breath, the power of acceptance, and the power of letting go, surrender. And so when we are in that alignment, things on our path will show up for us. Because when we surrender, we're ready to see the invisible that wants us to see it.
Mm.
And at the same time, we all, have an intention or an idea. Yet when there's a little bit of self-doubt, we're putting a barrier. By dropping that mask, that's when your authentic self comes out. That's when you're ready to show all of you to yourself and to the world. And when I learned about the purpose or the reason, I knew that I wanted, when I was even younger, becoming a doctor was part of a healer. Yet I didn't know that I will be embracing that kind of healer in me. And at the same time, when I used to, well, I was one day, I remember in 2015, I was telling the story about my brain aneurysm and the meaning of my name and how Reina was without the I in the middle. And then knowing that the I in the middle was the I of the ego. And then when you release that I of the ego, you become whole and complete, let's say. The idea was I was speaking those words of Reina, Rena, means reborn. And I was with a group of beautiful spiritual people that I just recently met in New York at that moment in time. And then when we said goodbye, we all went to our own ways. They called me like, Reina, come back. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh my God, you won't believe this. I'm like, what is happening? He's like, come and see. And right next door to where we were, there was a store called Reina, Rena, reborn. And for me, I was like, whoa. So is this what you're asking me to do? Like guide people to rebirth themselves from within? And when I say rebirth themselves from within, the idea is to learn deeper about their empowered soul and to trust. That's why I call myself a trust catalyst, an empowerment guide. Because when we empower ourselves and we trust that beautiful voice that's within us, thus the book, when the divine speaks, the heart listens. That's when you're guided along your way. When you leave your house in the morning, just ask, life, show me your magic, and observe what shows up in your path. Because where we're heading is already known. All the roads lead to Rome. And I
Yes.
will say all the roads lead to the heart. And so your heart knows where it needs to go. Yet sometimes our mental state will take us in different intervals that we miss the path. So when we are on the path, we're not on the right of the path or the left of the path, or wondering why we are here or there. But when we are here, we're fully present. We're fully aware. And that's the power.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Reina, for being our guest on today's Pinned podcast episode. It is Mental Health Week. So among the many things we can all do is to focus on compassion and kindness. And I think your journey and your stories, and people can obviously reach out to you if they'd like to connect directly, which would be wonderful. But appreciate you sharing your journey and again, all of the amazing work you're doing for people. So thanks so much.
Well, thank you. That was a really quite an amazing conversation. Time flew by. I don't even know how it passed. Yet I truly hope every listener here is benefiting from at least one word or many that have been expressed, that have been shared. And remember that you are seen, you are loved, you are held, and you are embraced. You're not alone. You are never alone. Just reach out. Ask. Ask. The question never hurts. Because when you are asking and opening up, the world will open up for you. So be open and ask for help.
Thanks so much, Reina.
Thank you.